We're doing another predictions episode with our guy, Tristyn Spann-Ford, here to lock in some predictions for the Purdue versus the Gophers game. Homecoming, the stripe out, you name it, it's here. Locked On Golden Gophers.
Hey,
You are Locked On Golden Gophers.
No matter what we're going to do here, we're just going to keep rowing.
Your daily podcast on the Minnesota Golden Gophers.
However it turns out, we're just going to keep rowing.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
We're just going to keep rowing, and keep rowing.
Welcome into Locked On Golden Gophers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Kane Rob, host of the podcast, former collegiate football video coordinator and recruiting assistant, here to talk Golden Gophers with you each and every day of the week, Monday through Friday. It's Purdue week. We got to get a dub, and I want you, yes, you listening right now, watching right now, to head on over to YouTube and hit subscribe. Join the community. We're nearing 500 subscribers. You're halfway to our 1,000 goal by the end of the season, and you can make it happen because you are some of the best fans in the entire nation when it comes to Gopher Nation. We got to build this thing up because we're going to have a competition with Locked On Badgers when we hit Badgers week, and we need all the help we can get, folks, because we got to bring the axe home. We have it here right now. We got to keep it here. So be sure to hit subscribe on YouTube and be sure to follow wherever you get podcasts at Locked On Golden Gophers. Today's show is brought to you by Underdog. Sign up on UnderdogFantasy.com with the promo Locked On, and you get your first deposit up to $100 matched. So you can double up to $100. You put $100 in, you get $100 back. That's $200 at Underdog Fantasy. Now, we're going to jump in. We're going to talk with our friend, Tristyn Spann-Ford. I'm not going to hold it back any longer. Let's jump in right now. Welcome into Locked On Golden Gophers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's Kane Rob. It's Tristyn Spann-Ford. We're back for more predictions for you again. And I feel like the listeners are starting to like you more than they even like me. So I might have to stop bringing you on here because you're doing too well, man.
I'm hijacking your podcast. This is my plan all along.
I knew it from the jump. I knew it. But today we got a fun first segment for you. It is who remains undefeated after week 4. We're going to guess if they remain undefeated, my bad, in week 5. So we'll start off with the Gophers. We're facing Purdue. Do we beat them?
Yes. Yes,
all
we
right.
do.
We'll get more in detail with that one later, but everything else, you can say whatever you want, but we'll save the juice for that one. All right, Michigan versus Iowa. Will Michigan remain undefeated?
Absolutely. Iowa doesn't know how to score touchdowns. They've only done it like once.
All right, Kansas versus Iowa State.
I like Kansas. Iowa State doesn't. Kansas is hot this year. They're going to remain undefeated this week.
All right, that's 3 for 3. Now, Coastal Carolina plays Georgia Southern. What are you thinking there?
I like Coastal Carolina because that colorway is different. I'm a fan of the colorway. So on that alone, I'm going to say yes, because I haven't really watched them play, but I'm going to say yes just because of that.
I'm going to go ahead and assume most people haven't watched them play, but I will say their quarterback is a baller, so I think he comes out with the dub there as well. Penn State versus Northwestern.
Oh, yep. Yeah. Penn State looks nice this year, and Northwestern is Northwestern. So,
right, this next one, someone has to lose because they're both undefeated. So Clemson versus North Carolina State. Who you got in that one?
Oh, I think Clemson. This year they're starting to look like the Clemson of years past. You know, they're shaping back to where they used to be and kind of trying to reestablish themselves, and that they're trying to establish themselves in that top 4 where they think they belong. So I'm saying Clemson is going to remain undefeated.
I agree with you. DJU has the juice back, and I'm excited to see him playing well. He had so many haters coming in the season, so I'm excited to see him thriving. The next game is Georgia versus Mizzou. Do you think Georgia stays undefeated?
Yes. Yep. Mizzou is still on a forever rebuild, I think. they're on an upward slope, I'd like to say, but they look so good.
So Mizzou has a 5-star stud at wide receiver. I think he was number 3 recruit in the entire nation. And apparently he just deleted everything off of his Instagram related to Mizzou. So they might be in some trouble in their rebuild that you said is forever.
Never a good sign. That's not what you want out of your number 1 receiver.
Right. Especially in college. Like you see it happen in the pros a lot. If it's in college, man, that transfer portal, it's a kid's best friend right now.
Yep.
All right. So next we got James Madison versus Texas State. You think James Madison stays undefeated?
Texas State. I'm trying to think of who's Texas State has played.
Probably nobody. I don't think either one.
I'm just trying to recall. 'Cause I like JMU this year. JMU.
Okay.
I think I said it last week too. I like JMU. So I think, or maybe it was a couple weeks ago, but I think JMU remains undefeated.
Last week, but I feel you. All right, Syracuse versus Wagner.
I think they stay undefeated just because I don't know what Wagner is.
All right, then TCU versus Oklahoma. And TCU is the undefeated team since Oklahoma lost last week.
I think Oklahoma takes them down this week.
Yeah, I feel like Oklahoma wants some revenge after losing last week when they went from number 6 to number 18. It's time to turn it back on. So I think you're right there. Another undefeated versus undefeated, UCLA versus Washington.
That's going to be a good game. I liked Washington looked really good against Wisconsin, and I guess I haven't watched a ton of UCLA. Maybe I'll watch that week 1. Let's go with Washington. I think Washington remains undefeated.
I think so too. I'm going with Washington here. Their defense has been insane, and UCLA's quarterback's pretty good. Their running back's pretty good, but I don't know if they're going to hold up against that defense. So I am with you there. Another undefeated versus undefeated matchup, Ole Miss versus Kentucky.
I'm going Ole Miss again. I'm the worst sports guy, but the helmets that they're wearing this week are insane. They're insane. Ole Miss by 100. I'm thinking
because they got the drip. Undefeated. It's not even because what they put on the field. It's because they got.
It'd be such a disappointment to lose in those uniforms. You can't do it. You can't.
Yeah, I'm picking against you on this one. I'm picking UK. I think they're going to stay undefeated over Ole Miss. Now you've got OK State versus Baylor.
Baylor's a tough team. They're really well coached too. I think I'm going to go with Baylor. Am I incorrect in saying, was this a bowl game matchup last year?
I don't think it was a bowl game. I think it was the Big 12 championship last year.
Yes.
Baylor ended up winning that one. Yep.
So I think I like Baylor. I'm going to go with Baylor.
All right. Florida State versus Wake Forest.
Florida State. They're undefeated?
Yep.
Yeah, I think they're going to stay undefeated. Wake Forest is ranked higher than them, correct, though?
Yep, ranked 1 spot in front of them. 1 spot.
I think I like Florida State this year. They're kind of doing the same thing that Clemson is kind of doing, trying to battle back to those days of where they used
to the glory days.
Yeah, they're doing the same exact. They're on that same trajectory that Clemson is on. Granted, Clemson is.
I'm going against you on this one. I'm going with Wake because my boy Sam Hartman is lighting the world on fire after he missed that first week. I think he's had 3+ touchdowns in every game. Last week he had 6 touchdowns versus Clemson. So my boy's on a mission, and I'm not picking against him.
Yeah, that's a streak right there.
All right, we got 3 games left. Alabama versus Arkansas.
Oh, Bama.
Yeah, it's hard to pick against Bama there.
Yeah.
Ohio State versus Rutgers.
Ohio State. I like Rutgers, but I think you can't deny Ohio State.
I'm with you. All right, and the last one is USC versus Arizona State.
USC.
I am with you as well on that one. So the couple upsets we have Baylor over Oklahoma State. We have Oklahoma over TCU, and I think we had one more in there. I had Wake Forest over Florida State. So we'll see what happens with those, but we're going to jump over to our over-unders like we do each and every week. But first, a message from our friends over at Underdog. This episode is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to spice up the college football season. It's super easy. It's really quick to get started. All you have to do is download the Underdog Fantasy app or go to underdogfantasy.com. In my pick'em this week, I picked Tanner Morgan to go over 208.5 passing yards. I picked Mo Ibrahim to be under 113.5 rush yards. And I've got Tristyn Spann-Ford over on the 33.5 passing or receiving yards this week. It's that easy. You pick a couple players and pick over or under on their stats. You got to do it for at least 2 games. So I also did Caleb Williams on an over for the passing yards. That's it. You put a money down and you hopefully can up to 20 times your money. I'm at Easy Man. I just put down a quick $5, hoping to make that quick 100 back, but you can do more, you can do less. It's up to you. So be sure to head on over to Underdog Fantasy and make your own picks. It's easy to play and available in 30 states, over 30 states. And all you have to do is pick between 2 to 5 players across any teams, not just your team, and decide if they will finish higher or lower than that total. One of the easiest fantasy games to play out there, and you can win cold, hard cash in a single game. So be sure to sign up with promo code LOCKEDON, which is one word, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's right. You deposit 100, you get 100 free. That's $200 in your account. Go to underdogfantasy.com or the Underdog Fantasy app in the App Store or Google Play Store. And that's Underdog Fantasy, promo code LOCKEDON, one word, to double your deposit up to $100. Get in on the college football pick'em action today. Thank you for listening to Locked On Golden Gophers and making us your first listen when it comes to Gophers daily sports. We've got podcasts Monday through Friday, and Tristyn joins us every week on one day a week for our predictions. Now, this week we've got predictions for the homecoming game against Purdue. The first thing we jump into right away is that line. Now, the line or the spread is 12.5 points. So do you think the Gophers will win this by 13 or more, or do you think it's under with 12 or less?
Well, I think the first question we got to ask is it going to move again? Because it seems like it started out at, damn near a touchdown, and every single day you check it, it just keeps going up. That's
very true. I'm actually going to pull up BetOnline right now to see if it's moving. But what do you think at the moment right now, if it's at 12.5?
I think the Gophers will continue to be a covering machine this year. I think they will definitely cover the spread at 13 or 12.5, whatever it's at. I'm surprised. I thought at the beginning of the year, Purdue was going to be a little bit more competitive necessarily after watching what they did with Penn State, but I'm thinking they're going to start that it's not going to be as competitive as I did it in week 1.
All right, so the line actually has moved, but it's moved closer. It's at 12 instead of 12.5, so just a half point, but still slight movement downward. I had a prediction earlier this week, and I said that it was going to be 31-28 to close a game, 3-point game. I've since changed my thought process on that. I think it's going to be a little bit bigger of a victory for the Gophers, but I'm still going to say under the 12.5. I'm still going to say under there, so I don't think they cover this week. All right, so Mo Ibrahim, 13 straight games, 100 yards or more. The line is 113.5 yards. What are you thinking here? Last week we were right. It was 120.5, and we said he was coming in under, and he came in at 103, still kept the streak, but was still under that 120 like we said. But what are you thinking for this one? 113.5.
113, I think over that.
Okay.
I think we made Michigan State look very bad, but you got to think those are 4-star, 3-star, guys on defense, and we did that to them. Like, no matter how bad we made them look, it's still Michigan State. So I think I'm gonna go with the over, and I think most steps on the field, and they might as well just put 100 next to his naming the stat line. So
it's an auto 100.
yeah.
This is tough line though. 113.5. I think just because you're going over, I'm gonna flip it. I'm going to, folks. Eventually, I'm going to tally these up. I told Tristyn I'm gonna tally them up after this week. So I'm gonna go under here just because I think it's gonna be really close, and I need to rack up some victory points if we actually get this scorekeeping going. All right, so the next line is Tanner Morgan, 208.5 pass yards, over or under?
208. What do you have last week?
Last week, I believe he had 268 passing yards.
I'm still going over on that. It's hard when you're a homer, to stay under on anything, obviously. But realistically, there's just I don't see them as the same competition. I know Michigan State's had a rough year, but it's still Michigan State. So you got to think the competition is there. I think that's what this whole the whole rest of the season. I know it's going to shape up to be, wow, the Gophers are who they said they were in the first 3 weeks, even though they didn't play anyone.
Right.
So I'm taking over. I'm
going to agree with you. I'm going to go with the over here. I think if Mo comes in under that 113, that means that they're probably stacking the box, trying to sell out for him. So then that means Tanner's going to pick him apart like we saw against Michigan State. So I'm going over with you on this one as well. 3 more lines here. 3 more lines. Will the Gophers get 1.5 turnovers, over or under?
I think yes. Like what you said earlier this week, I think if the D-line gets pressure on, what's the quarterback's name?
Aiden O'Connell. Yep.
Aiden O'Connell. If they do get pressure on him, I think you're right. He is going to panic outside the pocket. And I think our defense is going to be ready for him to make those mental mistakes once he gets flushed out of the pocket. So I'm thinking we get over 1.5.
I'm with you here. I'm going to take the over as well. I think that, the pressure, like we said, if we can create it on Aiden O'Connell, but him also being uncomfortable, it seems like he's really on the edge of playing. I think they're going to play him. I feel like they fall too far behind if they take a loss here, and they're going to do whatever they can to stay in contention. So I think that he's going to push it. He's going to force it. And I think we're going to come up with two picks. I think it'll be 2 picks, but 1.5 turnovers. So yeah, I'll take the over as well. Then actually just last question on over-unders, then we'll move to predictions, is Purdue, will they get over 275 yards? We both called the under on Michigan State last week, and we were correct, only by 35 yards. So they cut it close. But do you think that we'll hold Purdue under 275 yards?
I think we do. This defense is showing no signs of, the score last week. It sucks that they got that touchdown in garbage time, but this defense is playing lights out. Like Rossi has these boys knowing what they're doing. So I'm thinking under. I have to go under.
Against what I would like, I'm going to take the over. I'm going to say over. They're going to get over 275. I think it'll be close to 300, but it won't be too much over that. That's where I'm going with this one. All right, we're going to move to final predictions, the best part of the show. That is coming up next. All right, so final predictions, the best part, guess the final score. I know you love doing this. You love remembering what the football math actually equates to. So what do you got for a final score?
It feels like with this atmosphere, how close do we know how close I was last week? I think I only had them scored 2 touchdowns last week. Not that it matters. We can figure out.
I think you were fairly close. I think you did say 34. You either said 34 or 38 for the Gophers, and then I think you might have said 14 for.
Yeah, I think I did have them scored too. I think that with the atmosphere that we have with homecoming, the stripe out, after even, I don't know how many times we're going to say it this year with what happened with Bowling Green. Like, nobody wants homecoming to go that way. And I think the atmosphere is just going to be through the roof, And so I'm going to go ahead and say we're going to put up 40. Yeah, bad football math. Let's go 49. I'm going 49 to 14. Our defense is good. Our defense is so good, and I know that what's the over underline at for the game? I don't think it's that high, right? I think last time I looked at
No, I think it's like 52.
52.
I think so.
Yeah, see, that's not that high, but I'm thinking. Well, there you go. I'm also predicting the over to hit. So I think it's going to be a great atmosphere. I'm so excited.
52 and a half. I was almost there. 52 and a half. All right. So I've moved back and forth on this. At first, I thought it was going to be a pretty tight game. I've thought about the injury. I've thought about how balling this defense has been, and I've readjusted my final score. I'm putting the Gophers at 35, and I've got Purdue at 21. So I still have them scoring 3 touchdowns. I think that they are a lot more successful in the quick passing game, which Michigan State saw a little success in the third quarter. It looked like they were going to come in and score on us. We turned the ball over, took all the wind out of their sails, but I think that Purdue is going to be a lot better at that. We'll see how it's addressed, but Joe Rossi's good. Joe Rossi is a great coach, and he'll probably have an answer for it, having seen it on tape, knowing other opponents are going to see that maybe as a weakness, so to speak, of the defense. So he'll have a plan for it, and I'm sure I'm going to feel foolish after this and be like, oh, I put them as 21. But I'm going to go with the gut. 35-21 is my new prediction on that one. All right. Offensive player, best offensive player, and then best defensive player, back to back.
Offense and defense. Mariano this week on defense. He's gonna, they're gonna have a lot, not much more parity, I want to say, but he's gonna have to facilitate, moving guys around, calling out what's going on the offense. And I think this week is gonna be it for him. And I think even last week he had like 8 solo tackles. He's quietly, there's no giant turnovers necessarily from him, but he's such an impactful player on that defense. Offensively, I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna go with Baby Brev. He's gonna. I think he is gonna have a week this week. I can feel it in my bones. I don't know what it is. I'm excited for him. And I think
you must have been feeling this next question I got coming up too, which you get ready for. But first, I'll answer as well. I am going to go with Trey Potts on the offensive side of ball. I talked about earlier this week. I think that Trey being successful on the ground is going to open it up more for Mo, because they'll either always have to stack the box to stop the run game, or they're going to have to play more balanced, which will allow our running backs to get more work and get more chunk yards. So I think Trey Potts and Mo will be successful, but I think Trey Potts is going to have the best game for the offense. And then for the defense, I'm going with Flip Dixon in the slot or in the nickel. I think that, like I said, I think they're going to try to chip away in the quick passing game. Flip Dixon's probably going to have to play on the tight end a lot or the slot receiver a lot, and I think he's going to see a lot of looks his way. So I expect a lot of pass breakups. I expect a lot of tackles coming from him, and I think he's going to be a key on the defense. Now, that question that I hinted towards, how many yards does Brev have to end the game this week?
Oof. I don't know. I'm going to just shoot for the moon. I want him to we're going to shoot for the moon. Then I want him to have like just under 100 would be sick. And I know that's a lot out of a tight end. That's a lot. I don't know.
I need specifics. I need a specific number.
82. 82. I want 82 to be my number. I don't know why. I feel it in my bones. I think it's been a great, good season so far for him, productive wise, more catching than he's had, in the previous 3 years, 4 years or whatever. And not that it matters, but I think this week is a big week for him. So I'm hoping
82 and a tud or 82 and 2 tuds. I know you're not going to say no tud. So
let's go 1. I'm going to go 1 for sure. 82 and 1 touchdown. And that's what I'm sticking to. And a lot of blocks too. He has been impressing me.
Bro, he's been crushing folks in that room.
I got to bring it back down. Because under no circumstances can we let him find out that I think he might.
We're also knocking on wood. We're doing
the
Jinx is out. All right, I'm going to go with 56 and a tud. I think that's what Brev's coming out with here. I also think it's going to be a good game for him. I don't know who they have that can match up with him. Like Michigan State had Angelo Gross, who was decent in pass coverage. Brev lit him up early, and then we just stopped going his way, which you get it because we were whooping that butt. But at the same time, I wanted to see more. I like to see the thrills of it all. You know, I like seeing Brev out there succeeding. So I texted you right away. I was like, let's go.
Yeah.
But no, I think he's going to have a good one. I'm excited for him. And then who will be the biggest surprise player for the Gophers this week?
Biggest surprise player. That's tough. I mean, even you called Jackson last week.
I'm taking credit for that one. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
yeah, that was and even that it doesn't feel like a surprise.
Right.
You know, because you know what he's capable of. Let's go with can I go with the position? I think our offensive line is going to show out.
Okay.
You know, I think you know, from end to end, I think I can't think of how many times has Tanner been sacked even this year.
I don't know if he has.
Yeah, and I think that's going to. I mean, we overlook this offensive line sometimes because Mo's only getting 100 yards because of him. You know,
right.
He's getting catches. I'm going with the O-line. O-line shows out this week.
O-line shows out. Okay, I'm gonna go with someone. I feel like this name just comes to mind. He gets decent tick. He's out there on the field. I'm going with Donald Willis. Typically the strong linebacker, the Sam linebacker. I think he's going to show out this week. Pretty decent in coverage. And I think he's going to come up with a sack. I don't know why. It's just sitting there, you know, in my brain, like, say it. Just say it. Now watch. I'm going to look this back and be like, bro, he didn't even play this week. Like, but no, I think Donald Willis is going to have a good one. We got two questions left. The first is, which Gopher scores the first touchdown in this game?
That's Mo. We're gonna drive. We're gonna look good, and Mo's put one in the end zone right away. Get the ball. I'm going with
Brev. I think his touchdown sets it off. I think it'll be through the air because they're in the beginning of the game. I think they sell out to really try to stop Mo, and then they realize they can't do it either way. So
I hope I'm wrong in that case. But if I'm right, that's fine too.
All right, the last question that everyone wants to know. Where will the Gophers rank if they secure a dub? We're at 21 right now. We called it. I mean, I was very close. I'd said 22 on our podcast last week. So where will we rank if we get a dub this week?
Oh, I don't have the list, but I would think we'd move up. Purdue. They played Penn State very well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're 2-2. I gotta say we move up at least 2 spots. You know, 21 to if we handle them the way we handled Michigan, I think we're 18 at least.
Bro, we're in sync on this one. My gut number was 18. I was like, if we handle them, or even if we win at least by 1 touchdown, I think we move up to 18. If we only win by like 1 or 2, maybe we only go to like 20. But 18 was standing out for me as well. Even if we like absolutely demolish them, I feel like they're going to be like, well, Aiden O'Connell was hurt and there's other excuses.
No matter what.
One game at a time. We'll get there. We'll get to that top 10. I feel it deep in my soul. So
if we have to be in Indianapolis yelling, we haven't played anyone, that's fine. You know, I'm okay with that.
I mean, that's the dream scenario, right? You go to Indianapolis, you play Michigan, Ohio State, and you're up in the 4th by like 10, and you're like, we haven't played.
That's the dream.
And then you can like really use it if you made the college football playoff and just keep saying, we haven't played anyone. Beat like an Ohio State or a Michigan and Penn State, we haven't played anyone.
Sorry. I'm getting T-shirts made. If we go to Indianapolis, I'm getting T-shirts made.
Yes, put me down for the order. I am with you on that one. All right, that's going to do it for us on today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. Next week, we'll have Tristyn back as well. You know what? I'm going to put this challenge on you. And this is on the spot, folks. I haven't prepped him for this or anything. Next week, I believe, is the bye week. We need to get Brev on the show with both of us and make it happen. Pressure's on now. I've set the expectation.
That's fair.
It might not happen, but we'll blame Tristyn if it doesn't. So that's going to do it for us on this show. Any last words for the folks out there, Tristyn?
No, I remember what color you're wearing.
Yes. By the way, what color are you wearing? What section?
Gold. I'm gold. Yeah.
Gold.
What are you gonna wear? What are you in the booth? What are you guys wearing?
I'm in the booth, but I'm still going to wear maroon. I'm going to do it for the squad.
As long as you
represent.
know. Yes, I'm a gold. We're in a gold section. I'm very excited. Be ready. We're gonna have a party. It's gonna be a party on Saturday. I'm excited.
Yes, sir. Thank you for reminding people to be a part of the stripe out. Be sure you check what your section number is and get the right color. We're going to stripe that bank out. It's going to be a dub and it's going to be lit. So thank you for listening. Row the boat, Sky Yacht, go Gophers.